New transit technology. One of the things I told you that we were going to do is we were going to take a look at the world, not at the United States. And I mentioned to you that when I went to work on a high-speed rail project in the UK, they said, we brought you here for your management, not your technology, because the United States is a developing country. And they're right, we are. We do not produce rail equipment in the United States, and that we do produce is to a standard that's quite archaic. We have two choices when we look at the electrified system. One is what's called a compliant locomotive. Those are standard, they exist, they're out there, they're known. Nothing I'm telling you is new technology. It exists somewhere in the world. The problem with this is its performance decreases as its length increases. The least expensive way to add capacity is to add train length. Because you don't add crews, you don't add overhead. It's the least expensive way. But if your performance deteriorates because you added the train length, you get to a zero-sum game. I've added trains, but now I have to add more trains because I can't get to the other end of the line on time. So it's sort of a circular equation. The other thing we looked at specifically is international equipment. ULC is the European standard. We're looking at multiple electric units, EMUs. They're a different design altogether. More axles or powers, which means they decelerate faster and they accelerate faster, which means I can stop more often because it takes less time to do that. More importantly, this stuff is designed to be maintained on a modular basis. If something fails, you pull out the module, you replace it, and the train goes back to service. Today, if a train fails, you lose a train. So what you're talking about is something called mean time to restore. If you can reduce your mean time to restore, you need less backup equipment. You need less spare equipment. The equipment is turned around faster, so it's a higher availability rate, which means you're getting more for the buck. That's what it's designed to. It's also unaffected by gradients. It has a lot more traction, and we'll show you here in a second what it means. First, we want to attract and retain our customers and get ready for the dock race. With 21 station stops, we did simulation. With a diesel locomotive, an hour and 21 minutes. With an electric locomotive, an hour and 14 minutes. With an EMU, an hour and 10 minutes. Now remember, if I'm running at a 5-minute headway, which is what we ultimately want to design to, that's another train set I've got to add because of the difference. But I've got to add it on both ends. So I've now added equipment just simply based on this run time. Let's cut it another way. They said they wanted us to serve more stations. Within 70 minutes, with a diesel locomotive, I can make 13 station stops. With an electric locomotive, I can make 17 station stops. With an EMU, I can make all the station stops in 70 minutes. Doesn't mean I'm going to. I can. And I haven't increased my speed. It's still 79 miles an hour. So all of a sudden, what you end up with is more stops and reduced run time. And what does this turn out to? It's right there. The number of train sets I need and the number of station stops. I need fewer train sets to stop more often. And that's the economics of this. It's an entirely different beast. And relieve highway congestion. And this is just my advertisement. Rail is 30 times safer than the automobile. It's 30 times safer. And we should be doing everything we can to get people off the freeways. End of commercial. Now, let me tell you a bit of a story. We went to the FRA, as I told you, we've been there now 5 times. The first meeting we had at the FRA, we said, we want to do something different. We understand your standard in the United States. And by the way, the standard in the United States, because, again, some weren't here, it is a 1930 standard. And what it was 2 pieces of equipment hit each other and something fell off. They added steel. They hit something, it fell off, they added more steel. They kept adding steel until things didn't fall off. Now, it's called the cat in the safe syndrome. You put a cat in a safe, go up to a 10-story building and shove it off. The safe will be okay. All right? Don't say anything about the cat. Equipment in the United States is designed to save the equipment in the United States. In Europe, they designed equipment with something consciously called crash energy management. It's physics. The energy has to go somewhere. If it does not go into the vehicle, it goes into you. And we know this from experience in the United States. When an accident happens, people are injured inside the train because they have fixed objects that don't break away, and they hit them. You can't deny the physics. In Europe, They're way beyond us on this. They're designing the equipment for survivable space. We went to the FRA and we said, we want to try this. And to our surprise, they said, we're interested. And they gave us a set of conditions. They said, first of all, you'll preclude freight from your revenue daytime, which we can under the Tracking Rights Agreement. You will provide grade crossing protection at an enhanced level. And you will provide a system of train-to-train separation and train-to-train protection and railway worker safety protection. We have gone back to them. We're now back for our 5th trip on October the 1st. The first thing we have done is we're taking back a complete body of work on grade crossings. We are using the FRA's own calculation method and their own recommendation, and what we will say to them is, by the way, we have some of the safest grade crossings in the United States already, so don't think that we're unsafe. We're talking about making them safer. The net result is a minimum of 3.5 times safer at grade crossings than we are today. And that's using the FRA's own measuring tool. So what we have out there will probably be the safest in the nation. The second thing was this train-to-train protection. We are designing a signal system overlay that sits above the primary safety system that's out there. Well, what that will allow us to do, today you can run 5 trains an hour. You'll be able to run up to 12 trains an hour on the same infrastructure that you have today. That's a huge increase. It will be safer. There will be more protection. We have run this out and done work with the major unions on our property. The international representatives come in. They are supporting us because they see this as a major safety improvement to commuter rail in the United States. So one of our obstacles was, how are they going to react to this thing? How they react to it? They're helping us. They're helping us form the program that we're going to take out to our own employees, as a matter of fact. But the real issue is the vehicle. We did a series of tests, FRA tests, using their calculator and using the guy that runs their tests, as a matter of fact. And there are 3 tests. There's a train hitting an automobile, a train hitting a truck, and a train hitting a steel spool that's 10,000 pounds. The first test with a car, there is no significant difference between European technology and U.S. technology.